Hey guys, Dr. J here. Today we'll take a look at the first boss in World 3, the Fool's Idol. Not only is she the most difficult of the first bosses, but we'll also need to do something before we even start the fight. Otherwise, it will be impossible to defeat her. First, we'll need to go up the tower on the right of the big gate that's in front of us and continue down the long walkway until we reach a small room. Inside it, we'll see a dragling performing some kind of ritual. If we don't kill him before we start the boss fight, he'll keep reviving the Fool's Idol. And since we can't exit the room once the fight starts, we can only die and restart from the beginning of the level. I've already killed the dragling, so we don't have to worry about that. The first strat I'll be demonstrating is using a melee weapon to kill her. I'll just use the Dragon Longsword +1 for that. We don't need a shield, so we can two-hand it for a bit more damage. I'll be using this sword both because it's very easy to find it in World 2-2, and also because it has split physical and fire damage. And the Fool's Idol's fire resistance is slightly lower than her physical resistance. The Fool's Idol won't immediately start attacking us, so we'll have some time to clear the room from the draglings. We don't have to kill them, but it will make the fight a bit easier. It also might be worth your time to destroy all of the chairs near the entrance to the boss room. Again, it's not necessary and I won't be doing it, but it might help a bit. Once we are done killing the draglings, we can start attacking the boss. We will have enough time to hit her at least a few times before she's able to teleport away. It's a good idea to lock onto her, because it will tell you when her teleportation has finished. I'm saying this because her hitbox will remain for a couple of seconds after her body disappears. After her first teleportation, she'll start creating clones of herself that have their own health bars. Hitting the clones won't hurt the main body, so there's no point in wasting time with them. We can figure out if it's a clone or the real boss by locking onto them. If we see a health bar near the lock-on marker, that means that's a clone. The other way to figure it out is by looking at the soul rays. The real body's soul ray looks different. All of the clones, as well as the main body, will only appear in the middle of the church, so we can use the columns as cover if we need to replenish our health. And the last thing we'll need to keep in mind in this boss fight are the invisible traps she places on the ground. Activating any of them can actually be pretty dangerous, especially if our magic defense is low. Getting hit by all of the clones' soul rays can almost certainly one-shot us. But they're also the only uncertain part of this boss fight. So, unless you're extremely unlucky, as long as you know what to expect, using a melee weapon to kill this boss is the fastest way to do it. Oh, and the other benefit of using the Dragon Longsword is that you can use it regardless of your build, since it doesn't scale with any of your stats. Well, that's it for the melee strat. Next, I'll show you how to kill her by using a bow. While using a good melee weapon is the fastest way to kill this boss, a ranged approach is much safer, so I definitely recommend it if it's your first time fighting the Fool's Idol. For the bow strat, I'll be using the compound short bow and some heavy arrows. You can find the bow in 1-2, and the arrows are sold by Patches in the Nexus, once you meet him in either 2-2 or 4-1. We'll start the fight the same way. We'll first have to deal with the draglings. Well, unfortunately, we barely don't do enough damage to one-shot them, so I'm going to switch to the Dragon Longsword again, which is also not one-shotting them for some reason, but at least we're not wasting any arrows. I thought I heard someone in the back. Well, yeah, of course we're not one-shotting them. I'm not two-handing the sword. Okay, once we kill these last two draglings, I'll switch back to the bow and start attacking the Fool's Idol. That was some good damage without her. Not quite as good as the swords, but like I said before, using a ranged weapon will be much safer. Mostly because we won't have to worry about stumbling upon a trap. And we also got lucky that her real body appeared in the same place as it was before. This can occasionally happen, but it's rather rare. Now we need to find it again. Using the process of elimination, it should be this one. Yep, that's her real body. Oh yeah, if you do decide to leave the Draglings alive, there'll also be another way of figuring out which one is the real boss. They'll only worship her actual body and not the clones. Okay, if we are lucky, we might be able to finish her off the next time we fight her. There she is. Oh wow, I was very far off with my prediction. I'm not actually certain if we'll be able to kill her the next time. Keep in mind that after every time she teleports, she'll also summon more clones. Okay, this is the real body's soul ray, and there she is. Nice, we barely managed to kill her. Well, there you have it. Like I said, it took a bit more time, but it was also much simpler and safer than the melee strat. Next, I'll show you guys the magic strat, and I'll again be using footage from my walkthrough. Right, so this fight was actually a bit messy, which is actually a good thing, since we kinda stomped the fool's idol in my previous two demonstrations. Now I can show you what can happen if you get unlucky and make some mistakes. We'll start things off, as per usual, by killing the Draglings. Of course, we shouldn't waste mana on them and just use whatever melee weapon we have equipped. The Crisp Blade would also work just as well. Oh yeah, and as for our equipment, I'm using the Ring of Magical Sharpness, the Crisp Blade and the Wooden Catalyst. I also have the Soul Arrow memorized, though I guess the Flame Toss should technically work better against the Fool's Idol, because of her relatively high magic resistance. I mean, the Flame Toss is also a spell, but it counts as fire damage. It's also a bit weird that she started attacking us so soon. It's kind of unusual, as we saw in the previous two fights. Anyways, as you can see, we are doing an insane amount of damage. I also went ahead and grabbed the baby snail from the corpse behind the altar. I already explained why I did that in my walkthrough, so I'm not going to repeat myself. Now, the main issue I had in this fight was the lock-on system. I really struggled trying to lock on the clones to figure out which one is the real body. But that's not why I said the fight was messy. As you can see, because of our high DPS, we only need to find her real body 2 times. After the first time when she's still at the altar, I mean. The real problem was that, because I had issues with the lock-on, I stepped twice on a trap, and got very nearly comboed to death. There we go, this is the moment I just couldn't seem to lock onto this clone. I guess I should have seen her soul ray and figured out that she's an actual clone and stopped trying to lock onto her, but yeah. This mistake nearly got me killed. Thankfully I managed to get behind a column and heal, but since I still hadn't figured out that that was a clone, I went back to her trying to confirm, and stepped on that same trap again, and almost got killed. Again. Anyway, afterwards I finally managed to find her real body and finished her off. But I thought this was a good showcase of how badly things can go because of a single misstep. Well, there it is. 3 different strats for killing the Fool's Idol. If the video was helpful to you, I would appreciate it if you press the like button and subscribe to my channel. And as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts about this boss fight. Goodbye and see you next time!